Okay, that was fun. Technical difficulties. Well, first let me get YouTube chat up. It's probably a separate video. Yeah, it doesn't know that I'm streaming yet. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. Yeah, that's going for a couple seconds. I don't know if Twitch is going to stitch the two together because I had to do a full software update and restart. What is going on? Why are we buzzing? BG falling fast. Dun dun dun. I'm back into normal range. Oh yeah, it's right there. The BG falling fast warning just went off. That's all that insulin that I injected suddenly cascading onto me. But it means my glucose level's almost normal. What just I just no, go away. What's that? Where's that one coming from? What are you? Oh, you're probably in the overlays folder. And then there's this one. There we go. Okay. So now that that's out of the way, I got to calibrate the cameras, but first I got to get YouTube chat up. So there is the stream, which probably isn't associated with the old one. I get that open in a window, and now I've got recursive bothers. I'm going to pop this thing out. That one, and then Twitch chat, I need to open up on this one as well. Twitch.tv/ohbother bonk, and then we open up this stream. We got to mute it. I've got an advertisement running for myself. Go to, why am I not logged in? Oh, this is on the wrong window, is it? Yeah, it's on the wrong window. Yeah, that's right. We need to be on the logged in one. This one over here. I can go to Twitch. It'll be in dark mode. And look, no ads. And then I go to pop this one out. Where is that? Here. Pop out chat. Like that. There we go. Okay, there. Now all of my chats have been unified. How come the PC shit itself? Yeah, it's just been on for like a month. I haven't restarted it. It's been pestering me about Windows Update. And, you know, shit happens. As soon as I opened up that Thingiverse page, all three screens went blank. And then it didn't really recover all that much. I think, you know, maybe too many Chrome windows or something like that. Chrome went, I have to allocate memory. And then the whole thing broke. So let's get these cameras working again so you guys don't have to stare at my washed out. There had to be some explanation. No, there's no explanation. There's no explanation for why it did that. There are just theoretical reasons backed up by disregard. All right. Bill Gates sends his regards. It was pestering me for an update. I wonder if it did that purposely. Okay, so this camera, the way that we get it working again is I can do the face procedure, but I don't know if that'll work. Let's see. Yeah, it could have been sunspots. No, it actually kind of worked. We still got good frame rate out of it. Let's check the microscope, though. We're a little washed out. And, well, a lot of motion blurs. So if I do the micro procedure, I'm going to go through that. It won't change the FPS, though. That only comes when I get Node Red to work with it. Yeah, we got to do it to this one. All right, so what I need to do is I need to go to the microscope cam, go to properties, go and hit the frame rate, the FPS, and turn it back to 30 FPS. Click OK on that. Notice how it loses all of its settings. So I'm going to go into the properties, and I'm going to configure video. I'm going to turn off all of the automatic stuff and set the focus is on for some reason. There's no focus motor. Set the white balance to 4300. Turn the gain down because that's part of the error there. Click apply, click OK. Click OK on that, and then go back into it and go properties. And now I go up to FPS, highest FPS, click OK. And everything seems to have stuck. We still got blurriness on it, but once I fix this, settings, configure the video, turn the gain to where it looks nice. Just boot there. And 4300 is pretty good. Click apply, click OK. Oh, wait, anything going on camera control? -4 exposure. I think it's fine. What's up, Mystical, Rock Hounding, and Fossils? How's it going? Apply, click OK. That looks good. It's still very streaky. I don't know if that's going to bother me. You know, there's a whole procedure that we do on these cameras, and I had it automated. It was using Node-RED in order to get into the camera settings and you know, reconfigure or jiggle the wires and get everything working and looking nice and you know, lively in here. It doesn't look like you're just on a Zoom call. This looks very nice and high quality, and I'm not using nice and high quality cameras. I'm using Logitech. You know, the Brio is the nicest one that I have. All the others are just base level, you know, Logitech cameras. But you can get them to look good if you have a lot of light and if you properly tune your cameras. But the problem is, it'll forget that when you unplug your camera and plug it back in. It'll just forget that you had all these beautiful settings that you put into the thing to make everything look gorgeous. So I automated those with the Stream Deck because the Stream Deck has camera control stuff, but it still can't control OBS frame rates on specific cameras. Node-RED can. So I have a multi-action button that does, within Stream Deck, it'll do all those settings, but then it changes the FPS and stuff using Node-RED and OBS control in Node-RED. OBS controls also have this light turn on and off automatically. All that broke because I'm trying to move it all to the file server instead of like a random Raspberry Pi. I guess I could just use I could make the machine be a Docker, and then I would have a Docker with Node-RED, and then I would have a Docker with TrueNAS. But TrueNAS is trying to have their own kind of like App Store Docker thing, and I thought that would be a really good way to run it, but they're not done it yet. So, oh, that's pretty cool. Quartz clock generators based on a 4069. I assume mystical rock hounding and fossils, you're a channel. I have no other indicator about who's like streaming and stuff. I should probably tell my audience, my vast and infinite audience, my ever-growing, humongous audience, to check you out, because it sounds like you do cool stuff. Yeah, doing stuff like directly with rocks is always, that would always be kind of cool. Like, yeah, I made an oscillator with this rock I found. We are working on soldering circuits, which has its ups and downs. This is auto. See, the manic autofocus is this is what I hate. I hate this. Look at this. It's like look over here, look over here, look over here, look over here. This is again why we do the procedure. So let me do the procedure to this. I wonder if I can get away with just using the button. The button has some settings in it, but since I lost Node-RED functionality, it doesn't have everything. I think it was able to turn off autofocus though. That's kind of nice. And then I have Stream Deck buttons that allow me to do the electronic focusing of the stuff. The stuff. But yeah, we're soldering op amps right now. We're gonna get back to that in just a second. We had a huge crash. I clicked on something in Thingiverse and it caused OBS to crash and all of my windows to go blank. So I just put my stream up from nothing. And luckily I have a low level of automation in here, what allows me to reset my whole stream fairly quickly. I would like to turn all this stuff into one button though. Just boop, and then everything sort of reconfigures itself and gets ready for streaming. Then I could like go use the bathroom at the beginning. So this is the only N74 that we've been able to find. Hyundai Envision. Is one. What about GrabCAD? What's GrabCAD got? Yeah, the big red stream button. And then I can have all these like swirly lights, the little spinny lights come on and be like, stream starting soon. Hyundai N. Just Hyundai? Why would there not be a 3D model of that thing? It's such a cool car. You can find them on the sites where you have to pay. But I don't want to pay. Hyundai Santro. Oh, it is the perfect car. Looks like something I would make. Of all the cars to not have on your website, GrabCAD is a very clunky layout. Like this thing will pop under stuff. Got all the logos and the regular consumer cars that you could ever stomach, but no 3D model. Now you can find, obviously I can do Envision 3D model, and everybody will want to sell me one. Buy royal free. $85. $85. Printables, there's one. Is that any good? I'll take a look once this is done crashing my computer. I have a 1080 on this thing. It should be able to handle this. That's a nice model. Nice, nice. Oh, it's got like nothing underneath. It's just a flat plate. Which would make it good for turning into an RC car. Although you'd have to get rid of all this stuff inside. Unless you really want to push it and like try to get... No, but that wouldn't fit because the car's got to fit in there. All the RC stuff. I wouldn't want Hyundai written all the way on the back like that. So it was printables. Oh, why is everything loading so clunky? Ah! Pretty nice, pretty nice, pretty nice. That looks like a decently detailed print. What's the model look like? Well, that's like the worst view. Oh, I see, it's 3D. It's 3D, you can mess around with it. It doesn't look good without a spoiler, does it? I've never seen a car like that where it just doesn't look quite... This is a clunky control. This is... Oh man, jumping from CAD to CAD to CAD and having to deal with all the different cameras and where they originate. Oh, that's very annoying. Yeah, so this doesn't have glass. And then it's got the basic shape. It's been truncated a little bit. It's got these weird wheels like that. That's weird. But you could potentially cut out the whole bottom and have Fusion core it out for you. You'd have to open that up a little bit. That'd still be a lot of work. It'd still be a lot of work, but you could get it. I can't even deal with CAD. If I could, I would probably get back into RC. There's a lot of cool stuff. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff happening. Because you could do some pretty unique things with designing stuff in 3 dimensions and RC cars. And so we've been kind of exploring that a little bit with this 1/24th scale frame that I've been putting together. And I've got a Lancia 37. This is a bunk print. I mean, it looks like I squished it, but I've been messing with magnetic pogo pin mounts in order to get all the lighting to work with the frame. So this little RC car chassis cost me a pretty penny. This thing was not cheap. It's fast as hell though, and it's all-wheel drive. But I can drop the RC car body on top of it, and it should click into place. And I would have had something real impressive to show all of you, except that I've been struggling with a 3D printer. I need to re-zero the axis in order to get it to print properly. Yeah, I was hoping that I could have it drop in and just have all the lighting work. I haven't even done, I'm going to have to house, I guess, LEDs on all of these. I don't think I'm going to do a circuit board. I could do a circuit board that would go across the front, and then that would make mounting that easier. But then there's also like signal indicators and fog lights and stuff. I'm not going to have control of the fog lights, but I will have just about everything else. I had a Litzy 5T before, but the lack of a lathe or mill make it really expensive over time to get spare parts. I spent $20. Everything on 1/24th scale is $20. So any repair that I've done, any little thing that I've added to it or subtracted from it, it's all $20. I don't know why everything is $20 on this stupid thing. But the recent one that I should have printed is these A-arms. These A-arms broke in a crash because the car flips around like a madman at 150 miles an hour and sends all of its inertia into the curb. I don't know what's going to break now. I don't know if I'm going to end up bending an axle or some other kind of metal part now that these are metal. They really shouldn't be metal. I think now that I've gotten the goop printer up and running, those would be a great candidate for goop printing, because PETG is not going to be able to hold this small of a shape, but the other ones probably would. And then if I break, components up here, like these plastic A-arms in the front, those are probably going to break in a crash, and I can just redesign them in goop print. FDM, is that what I'm calling? What do we call it again? It's I forget I don't know how to differentiate between the two printings. So I call one goop and the other one poop. I don't know. The other one's I can just say PETG, I guess I could do it. RC cars, I never could decide whether I like off-road or on the pavement. Yeah, you know, there's a hybrid of it, rally car. That's why I did buggies. Get you a car that does both. All right, let's start putting together the circuit. So the circuit that we're putting together is in MS Paint, and I hit save. I was able to hit save before restarting and updating this machine. For those of you that are just like getting in, because it's a revolving door, that was a salami burp. Very fun, very fun. Would definitely do it again. Will do it again, against my will. For those that are just getting in, we're working on a modular synthesizer project because all of my hobbies apparently are expensive, and we're trying to DIY our way into them. I need something that's going to allow me to repair my musician friends' stuff. And so in doing so, I've decided to make a module testing module. And that's going to take the form of a little tiny modular rack that has its own power supply. We built the power supply. It's got all the stuff I needed to do. It was a little bit more annoying than I thought it would be. And now we're moving up floor by floor and creating all the functionality that we need to. We're trying to take baby steps. Previously, we laid this thing out in Through-Hole, and Through-Hole was just so big and sloppy. I like my surface mount. And the reason that I like surface mount stuff is that it doesn't take up a lot of room. Everything has a part number written on it because by the time we got to surface mount, we had lasers. And with lasers, we can etch tiny little things into the fronts and sides and backs and whatever of chips. So we're able to have resistors that actually have numeric values written on them. And I've just always worked with surface mount. I've just always enjoyed working in it for its compactness. The thing is, like this, the techniques that you're going to see me using here are obsolete. They're obsolete because you can just make a circuit board. You can just design a circuit board. Still in soldering. Yeah, we're doing soldering. We're doing soldering. I'm easily distracted, and I've been doing RC car stuff in the background for fun. I may want to get the this car off of the whatever it was, the printables, because that would be kind of fun. But our circuit is in MS Paint because that's what I use as a scratch pad. We've tested MS Paint. There you go, MS Paint, and we'll go to the open recents. This is unfortunately on the desktop of this machine. I'm still working with CAD. Build your CNC. How's it going? What's that check mark by your name? Does that mean you're verified? Am I verified? I don't think even I'm verified. I don't have enough of a crowd. I am working on a CNC project as well. I've got too many things going on, but CNC has been my respite from electronics. And I just want you to see the cool part about the CNC project is that I am going to be using gear reductions and outrunner motors. So for every couple of spins of this thing, we get a spin of the big guy there, which means I'm reluctant to use belts. I don't really want to use belts. I want this accuracy in my machine, but I haven't quite gotten there yet. I've got all the mechanicals sitting on the table behind me, but this is just such a cool system here. This was originally going to be used for burn the subs, which is, oh, I don't have a camera on it right now. It's my wall-mounted laser etching table that burns the names of Twitch subscribers onto itself. We're going to get back to working on that. Been a little distracted. I've had my friend after me for the past, let's say 20 years, just to be nice. It was about when we were teenagers. 20 years he's been after me to build a synthesizer. So I got into modular synthesizers, and so I need a modular synthesizer testing module. But yeah, in the meantime, like all this RC car and CNC project stuff has been coming up in the background. And it's been evolving slowly. I've got a Granite Devices controller that's going to control these things. But I decided to put the gear reduction on there because originally these were going to be used as robot arm motors for Burn the Subs. And that's going to be Burn the Subs 4. I don't think it's necessarily going to take the form of these guys. These are the ones that are used in like the DIY robot dog. But I decided to put a reduction on it because I figure I could move the motor really fast and have very small inputs into it. Maybe I can make like an accurate CNC. I'm probably going to be chasing down micrometer readings if I do that. But still, it's one of the ideas. I don't know. And with the gear reduction, maybe I could turn it into a robot arm. Not sure. You probably know a lot more about that stuff. Oh yeah, there's a CUI. Same thing I used on the big steering wheel that uses car parts. That's this right here. This layer of the thing has a CUI incorporated capacitive sensor on it. So that's going to give me the number of rotations. It shouldn't need cooling. If it does need cooling, I have to get this part in aluminum, and then I cool this, because that cools this plate, and that's on the stator inside the motor. Can't cool the rotor unless I put I could put a fan blade back here, but it shouldn't need cooling. Oh, what's the benefit of the Outrunners? I think torque, maybe? I don't know. This is just the design. I don't know. The Outrunner, well, first of all, this is cheap. This is a very cheap motor for, given the size and the power of it, cheap motor. And so I was able to make it into a servo, $20, $30 for the encoder. 3D print, of course, was practically free. I just had to find the 3D model. And then the motor itself, I think, was 40 to 50. So yeah, it does have the advantage of something going spinny really fast. The only problem is these things sticking out of the different axes of the CNC, but it looks cool. With the gear reduction, it could probably move a robot arm pretty well. So I don't know. I got to think about what exactly I want to do. Or do I just outfit it somehow into my mill? I would have to take this all apart and put a different lead screw on the x-axis, and then possibly a 3-phase motor for the spindle. But that could CNC that. I don't know. I've got a lot to think about in that front, which is why we're working on the synthesizer stuff, because it's purely electronics. And I don't have to think anymore. I would couple it with a ball screw or D-screw anti-backlash nut. I do have some of the anti-backlash ones. I feel like that kind of lead screw is too thin, but it's only going to be a desktop, and it's only going to use a DeWalt. Where'd it go? It's like somewhere over there. Yeah, the DeWalt router. So I don't know. No more distractions. I know we need to get back to soldering. We had a computer crash, and so I had to bounce the stream up and down. So here are our notes, and they are very detailed. Very detailed notes here. Very detailed. Of what we've tested over the couple weeks that we've been working on this thing. Sorry to hijack. No, it's fine. This is how this stuff works. If I go into a channel and I have the partner badge and I say hi, they will geek out for a little while, and that's just the way of things. So when you see somebody else who's gotten recognition in a field you're trying to get recognition in, streaming, you geek out a little bit, and that's what we're all like. We're all like that, So here's what we're building. This is just a simple circuit. It's a common circuit. If I look up, let's see. If I look up this site, we always find ourselves at top 10 fundamental operation amplifier circuits. Voltage follower, blah, blah, blah. Inverting, non-inverting, summing, differential amplifier, integrator, differentiator. You go all the way down here, and all of a sudden, you get a peak detector. And so here's a peak detector circuit. This is pretty much exactly what we're building. You just have a voltage source come in and be the comparative element in the positive end, and then in the negative end, you give it control of the diode. And if you have a two-way diode, which is what we have, it's green in one direction, red in the other. So if we bias this positively, it is going into what is essentially a non-inverting op-amp circuit. So if it goes positive, that diode is forward biased. If it goes negative, the diode is negative biased. We've got plus minus 12 volts going into the op-amp because our power supply is made like that to work with op-amps more easily. It just means that instead of we call it plus minus 12 volts. What we really mean is 0, 12, and then 24. It's just you offset it, and we just understand that at 12 volts, that's our ground. That's what we're considering ground. It's weird and complicated, but you think of voltages as potentials. But what that means is, so this diode in DC can be biased in one direction or the other. And so you have a diode that specifically has two diodes in it, so that one of the LED elements will block that reverse voltage, and the other one will allow current to flow through. And then you keep it from getting a runaway amount of current by putting a resistor on it, because the diode does not have an internal resistor element. It does have an internal resistance, don't get me wrong. A diode has internal resistance. Now what causes it, that is what causes it to explode. So when you overdo it with a diode and you get full current through the diode, all of those electrons rushing by will be interacting with the resistance, and so the resistance heats up and goes your diode. Although they don't pop anymore because they changed the epoxy that they had. You used to be able to get a 9-volt battery and an LED, and you put it together and go, psh, and it would make like a really heavy pss noise, and it would send a little piece of epoxy off into the distance, and you would see like the crystal structure of the epoxy, or whatever shear line it had, would go all the way down to the actual diode element, the silicon chip inside of the toilet bowl in the LED. Anyway, I've got this stuff hooked up, and I've got the LEDs in place. We just need to solder it up. And so the way that we do this is sort of the opposite way that we would do a CAD design. If we were designing this in CAD and we were putting traces down on the board, I would tend to start with the signals and get the signals out and organized, because power can take a circuitous route to get to where it needs to go. Instead, what we're doing with these is we're wiring them up to power first, and then we route the signals around it, because the signals can go as the crow flies. So we are looking at, and I probably need to mark this down, two different, this will just help me get to building a little faster, is if I go to our data sheet for the TL072. Oh, we got to find it again. SMD chips on perf boards. Yeah, there's a whole sort of category of techniques that I have amassed over years working at the FBI. I just have a whole bunch of techniques for building sort of quick circuits on stuff like this. Now, when you stream electronics, like building electronics, it takes like 3 to 4 times longer to actually get anywhere. So if you're really good at this, if you can put stuff together really quickly, it's still going to take you 3 to 4 times longer. So people like Uwo's Lab, who's like a vastly more popular electronics channel than I am, he's like, boom, 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 like here's the electronics thing, here's this project, here's that project. That's not the way it works around here. It takes a lot of time for us to put it together. This should be a much quicker circuit, and I should have been able to do this in one stream, but we had a crash right in the middle, right smack dab in the middle of working on this. So, all right, VCC minus on pin 4, VCC plus pin 8, and then I've got my in minus and in pluses on the sides like that. Our plus pin 3 and pin 5 are where our modular synthesizer signal comes in. VCC minus, we should have a big trace that we can actually glom onto in order to get minus on there. So let's look at that first. Oh my God, it's such a mess. It's disgusting. Disgusting. All right, so minus is right here. Oh, that's gonna bug me throughout the stream. My cameras are not calibrated properly, so I've got some streaking going on. So let's see here. So I didn't hook up the minus yet to anybody. And then over here, we've got pin 4, so it's the one in front. So if I go up to this corner, that's also this corner. Use the word gears a few times, got me triggered for this video. What? What you saying? What you talking about? YouTube short about gears? It's okay. I don't need to see that. Now I could, look, the buttons are connected crossway. Oh my God. Okay. There's a huge delay in me moving my hand and actually seeing my hand moving. So I need to go back and try to calibrate this camera so that I get the proper frame rate out of it. So properties, turn that down to 30, click OK. Yeah, and then we lose all the data. Yep, that's what happens. Properties, configure video. We'll turn this way down on the gain. This is the procedure that I have to do in order to get Logitech cameras to work with me. 4300. Click apply, click OK, click OK. I just look at it at 30. There's still like a weird delay on it. All right, let's bump it back up. Property, configure video. All this stuff was in the Stream Deck. It did it automatically, but it doesn't anymore. Why have you done this to me? FPS, go back up to highest. Click OK. Now I think I can change the properties and it'll look right. Back there. It's remembered my settings, so I don't know. I think it might be okay. All right, let me see. Oh yeah, there we go. That's much faster. much faster, and then if I bump the table, it'll end up looking like an earthquake. Yep, there we go. Okay, cool. So now I won't stab myself because of the delay in video. Delay in video on a microscope setup like this is murder, especially when I'm waving knives around like a crazy person. Knives and boiling hot soldering irons. So the pins that I got to hook up to power are this one up here and this one down here. And because of the way this is, because it be like it is, like it do, I can actually jump over and just go directly into that pin. Or I can go to an adjacent pin, which is typically what I like to do. I like to go to an adjacent pin because then I can see on this side what is actually hooked up to it. Ground, I guess I can do directly because we're going to be piping in this pin from over there, and then this pin has to go probably just up and over, and then this pin goes also up and over, with the caveat that this pin down here, what does it go? It goes minus and then plus, and the minus pin also connects to an LED that goes to ground. So it actually is better if I put ground up and then I can go over and put the LED in. Where's the microscope? I need to put mine close to the work to get that kind of magnification. Little do you know. The power that I have here, I have a very high-powered webcam with a Nikon lens on it. And that's the secret sauce in this channel, is that I've got a 2-foot standoff from a Nikon Nikkor, whatever, and a C-mount adapter, and then a Kurokesu enclosure for the Logitech webcam. And that gives me this standoff. It's on a Naga arm, and then I've got a metal plate that I screwed down to the desk. And that gives me that incredible amount of standoff so that I'm able to get in here and do everything I need to do. I can put spacers on this too. If I put spacers on, I have to get my Z-axis and move this up. But we can get down to silicon level vision on this at 60 FPS. 1080p 60 FPS, because that's all Twitch does, is 1080p 60. I don't think I'm going to be moving to 4K anytime soon. That would be a bit of an expensive upgrade, but I could do it. But maybe not with the, I'd probably have to get a different Kurokesu thing. Actually, I have a couple. We were going to machine it so that the Logitech Brio didn't need like a C-mount lens, but then my X-axis crapped out and I lost it. So the other one that's going to have to go to ground is going to be over here on this side. That's going to be harder for us to get to. There is still a delay on this. I'm just going to try not to stab myself with the soldering iron. That would be very unbecoming of this channel. See, the thing is, I have to do it over here too. Maybe I can bump out this way and over, but like this one has to go to there. Well, let's double check that. Let me double check that. We did this last time. I need to do it again. We need to use the multimeter in diode mode in order to see what direction the green and the red LED are, and I need to see which one goes to which pin. So if we are sending this the proper way, that would mean that this one up here would be this orientation with positive at the front of the LED up here would be the green orientation. So if this lights up red, then we are in the right orientation, and the pin that's closer to the edge of the board goes to, we're not in diode mode. There you go, diode mode. Forward to diode. Green. Okay, so that is not the right way. Wait a second. Hold on a minute. Let's go backwards. So if positive is on this leg, then we are red. Positive on the outside edge means red, which means, according to our circuit, it's really smart with that, Cam. Thank you. It was a lot of guessing. It was a lot of guessing to get things right. I mean, the Kurokesu enclosure I looked at, and I was like, all right, so it's C-mount, huh? Well, I've got this Nikon, this extra Nikon lens, and I can, theoretically, I can digitally take over this lens. The only problem is our efforts to do so have not come to fruition. I got digital communication to do everything it should have done to the lens, and then it didn't move. It didn't do what I wanted it to. I should have been able to do stabilization and focus with the digital input to this thing. Maybe there are sites out there that have more information, because this is from 2006, this lens. People have probably figured out how to take them over a little bit more completely, since we looked at it in 2016, 15. It was before I partnered, so it was at least 2016 or 17. So in order to get green orientation, this would go into positive. It is non-inverting because we're going into the plus line with our signal input. So that would mean that we want pin 1 to go to green, which means the LEDs are in upside down. Because pin 1, is that pin? That's pin 1, right? I'm not hallucinating. Wait, which side is pin? Why do I always do this? I just completely confuse myself about where pin 1 is, and I need to now look at the data sheet. You ever do that? You ever do that? You kind of look at the data sheet again because you're like, wait, it's which side? So yeah, pin 1 is the one that's close to the LED, and so pin 1 and pin 7. So that would be, oh, that delay is so distracting. This one and this one go to this side. No, this side. So it'd be doot doot, and then this one can go out and around, where it'll also have a pin that goes to ground, and then this one goes doot doot, and then I guess this one can come around this way. It'll swing wide. Because yeah, all right. So we can do that. This is very distracting. This camera being the way that it is. There's like a slight delay, and when I originally tried to come up with the streaming setup, I started off with a Raspberry Pi cam. So everybody's like, just use a Raspberry Pi. It'll be great. Back then, everybody would suggest just completely wrong stuff. They still do, but I think they think they're more right about it. And since stuff has gotten a little bit more powerful, oftentimes they're correct. But the Pi cam was much less capable than it is now. And so they would suggest I use Raspberry Pi cam for this. And the delay, I got like a second per frame. This is really bugging me. Why is it like this today? I can get more light in there. It'll give me some more frames. No, it's really acting up. I need to spend some time with it, I guess, after stream, get that running again. All right, let me get the soldering iron here. Oh yeah, that is so distracting. Very strange. Got too much time on his hands. Interesting. Yeah, people say that a lot to folks who exhibit some skill in an area. Kind of put them down. I don't know if I like that phrase. I don't have too much time on my... If I had more time on my hands, I would be getting projects done. All these little projects that I explained today that are like, it's just like, when am I working on these? I really got to get back to them. And we have to do like, I have to set up gaming again. Because we should do our weekend gaming streams. We had a lot of fun with those. And get the steering wheel set up out again. I really feel like I should probably take that steering wheel and kind of like hook it up to like a base. I should also do a stream with the handheld that I got. I ended up getting the Let's Go. The Legion Go, the Lego. It's pretty cool. It took me hours to get all of the Windows 11 shit to stop being Windows 11. I would very much like to convert that thing over to Linux. I think I might dual boot. There's a couple distros that work well on it. What wire? This is 30 gauge wire wrapping wire. This is for wire wrapping, which is where you have a square header pin that the wire wraps around tightly, and on the corners it'll actually cold weld and create a whole lot of great conducting interface. The thing about wire wrap is that you can actually get very dense circuits out of it. And they used it in Vietnam in order to get dense radio equipment that was field repairable. You would open up like a radio backpack and it would be filled with these circuit boards with 0.1 inch spaced holes, and then chip things that just have layers and layers and layers of just bird's nest wire. All right, so there's pin 1. We'll do this down the line. Down the line. Pin 1 getting connected over like that. So I use this stuff as just traces. What I don't appreciate is the layers of this. The holes here will actually, you know, they're plated through. They conduct on both sides of the board. So if I want to run one of these bare wires on the other side of the board, I have to be cautious about what else might be there because it will short stuff out. It don't care about you. It doesn't think. It don't have no brain. The other way that you can sever the wire is also by putting a blade down on it and then picking it up. So if this were a flat blade and not a talon, I would be able to do that. I've been using the talon knife because it's fun. I put a little cut mark in my thumb with this part right here. You got to be careful about that part right there. But if I do this way, I can just put the blade down on the wire. It's harder to do with the talon. And then pick it up. And it breaks like that. That requires a little bit more force, so it's possible that I could have had like a pulley effect, and that might have messed up my bend right here, which is only barely acceptable. I don't like that it's swooshing. But the way that sometimes I'll also do it using metal fatigue, which is where you solder the joint and then you just wiggle the wire until it breaks off. Or you can get in there with actual sharp flesh cutters. Flush cutters. These are my Nip-X. You'll have to pry them from my dead hands. You'll have to Nip-X them from my cold dead hands because they're really good. I spent, what, $40 on those things? Because I had a cheap pair of flush cutters, and I was like, the shape of these is nice, but what if I got like a high quality one? I wonder how useful it would be in the shop. And it turns out extraordinarily useful is the answer to that question. Everything wire wrapped inside of an amplifier. That sounds crazy. Yeah, because you could repair that in the field if you just have like the right like a pair of tweezers or something like that, just to get that tight wrap on. It's wire wrapping is kind of an amazing technology that we've left behind. But I will trade wire wrapping for surface mount technology any day of the week because everything is straightforward and in your face, so you can see everything going on. You lose density though, for sure. Of course, nowadays with like 12-layer boards and stuff like that, that's all completely a thing of the past. Never too early to link equipment in the video description. It's what I have on Twitch. I haven't done that I have not done that for YouTube. Although YouTube appears to be somehow gaining a lot of traction. There's a lot of you now. There didn't used to be a lot of y'all. It was just Lawn Dog talking to himself. Actually, the past 2 streams, it's been like one person talking on YouTube, and then occasionally Twitch comes in waves. Like when Tomato goes live, I lose people. Even though I'm completely unaffiliated with his channel in any way at all whatsoever. He probably hates me. This is a very simple circuit, and it's going back on the board much more simply using this method. Although we're going to still, there's still going to be a little bit of sloppiness, and of course I'm taping down dog hair using that. I wish my dog was a little bit more involved with my streaming, It's like if I did game streaming in a bedroom, I could have her hanging out on the bed behind me, but she sits by the front door and barks at stuff. She barely comes down here anymore. She used to hang out outside of the shop, and we had a lot of very cute moments. I know, you weren't talking to yourself. You're talking to me. I know, just for comedic effect. But hey, I'm glad to see a variety of faces, and if you guys are content creators, please, by all means, advertise yourselves on this channel. I do not have any foibles about that at all whatsoever. I love seeing other people's emotes. And, drop by the Discord if you feel like it. The stream announcements channel is supposed to be a way of funneling people into other people's streams. It's not that popular. I don't have that many active people, let's be honest. The Discord is pretty lively, though, in other channels. It's just that announcements channel. Not a lot of activity. Some people have been posting in there periodically, and it's cool to see. Yeah, I've seen some people coming over from YouTube, like popular content creators on YouTube coming over to Twitch, and like being like nose up at the fact that like, oh, a partner's in my stream, what the hell? Like, you know, they don't like that, and it's like you don't know what you're doing. Like, you understand that's the beauty of all of this, is that you get to do that. You get to see the variety of content creation and stuff that can exist on the platforms, and it's cool to see the variety. But no, they don't feel that in the least. They don't seem to agree with that at all. All right, so what we've got here is an opportunity to run quite a few grounds around this area. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up from here, hit this pin, go this way until I get to here, and then I can put the resistor there. And in fact, I could even go further, but I don't think that's going to be totally necessary. We're just going to come up from here, over this way, and then when we get to this pin, I guess I'm going to go over, no, it's this pin. I'm going to go this way with the resistor, and then I'll have a trace that goes boop, boop to the LED. Building a community of creators. What, does that activate something? Is that like when I did the Terry Tate quote and a Terry Tate account? I did the Office linebacker quote, and then a Terry Tate account shows up in my chat. It's like, what is going on? Am I crazy? Maybe I should be doing this differently. Maybe I should be going up and over and then share these two. Because I'm not gonna, I need a power pin up here, but I'm gonna need a ground pin to one of these. Because what is this? Pin 5 is our in. Pin, this one is our other in. But if in's gonna come from a wire that comes through here. It's the splash screen on Twitch. Twitch is the one that has all of those features, but it's, I do Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. The reason for the break in Wednesday is that on the Tuesday streams, I discover that I haven't ordered something that I need, and I'll end up ordering something like emergency super rush shipping in order to keep the stream going. That hasn't been happening too much lately. I've been pretty well stocked. We did need to order a Teensy 4.1 because that pinout cannot be sneezed at. Same processor as the Teensy 4, but the 4.1 has 10 billion pins. It's got 100 billion million zillion pins additionally to the thing. So it's like, how can I not? All right, so let's do these. I'm gonna come. We're gonna go from here to the bottom one here. And then this one would go out and over. Why is it shaking? Why is it shaking back and forth? That's me touching the vise. Okay. Touching you. So I'm going to tin the wire and then attach it there, and we'll get this leg connected so that we know what this circuit looks. The streakiness is really pissing me off. It's hard for me to gesticulate and tell you guys what's going on when it's like streaky and weird. But this circuit right here, I need to see a little bit better. Look at how it's like lagging. Oh my God. How do I fix this shit? Oh yeah. Yeah, conflictions will happen. You're doing a live stream tomorrow. That's cool. Yeah, you guys check out Build Your CNC. I have no idea what their content is like, so I can't vouch for any of it. They probably swear like a sailor, and they're always talking about their balls or something like that. But, I mean, you guys tolerate that from me anyway, so you should acclimate pretty well to that weirdo stream that they do. If I'm completely misrepresenting you, it's because you had it coming. There we go. All right. So get a little solder on that. Let's get a little tinning on the end of this thing. The streakiness doesn't bother you. Oh man, it's real bad because I'm the one in control of my hands, and I need to like aim stuff properly. Does it happen to you too? Hold on, there's a window blocking my chat. I'll need to free it up so I can read stuff properly. Where are you? Where in Parallax are you? There you are. Oh, that worked perfectly. Although my hand is cramping up now. STM32. The last time I did STM32 was with a mutable instrument circuit. Does it happen to you too? These metal rings come off the circuit board. You'll want to be careful about the heat that you apply to these things down here. My soldering iron is locked at 666 degrees Fahrenheit. I solder at 666 Fahrenheit. The iron has a big tip on it because I don't like to beat around the bush and have to apply heat for a long amount of time. You want to limit the amount of heat that you apply to this, but you also want to make sure that when you pull things away from the circles, that you are applying enough heat that it stays molten. So if it solidifies at all, it can tend to pull the circles off. Now, the circles will not pull off if your iron is properly temperature controlled. If you're applying too much heat, that can lead to the circles coming off. So too much heat or too much mechanical force will end up melting off the pads. They're called pads, the circle things, and they're pads on a via. Via is a circle thing that allows your current to go from one layer to the next. How are we hooking this thing up again? It's actually, this one goes to the near pin. Yeah, so we'll do a 45-degree on that one. There's a whole skill behind it, but there's two culprits. Either you're heating it up and mechanical stuff is like scraping it or pushing it away. If that pad is only on one layer, this has plated through holes, so you can actually see on the microscope. Maybe you can. No, you can't. Never mind. They just look like they're just dark. But those holes have a little like ring inside of them that connects them to the next layer of the board. So when you solder something to them, they make like a rivet, which is pretty strong. But mainly it's too much heat, and that adhesion of the copper layer to the fiberglass circuit board will get disturbed. So it's either heat will disturb it, heat and a little bit of mechanical stuff to kind of push it, and it'll fall off. If you're desoldering stuff, you got to be really careful that the other layer isn't still solid when you pull away the part. Those are the main things that'll get you. But mostly it's controlled heat will give you a lot more mileage out of your pins. My glucose level has fallen. The West has fallen billions of mmol per whatever the hell units blood glucose is in. Must die. I've lost a lot of sugar in my blood, and so my hands are going to tend to cramp up now. It's going to make this a little bit more difficult to do. I will soldier on. So that's what I'm going to do with that pin. I'm probably going to want to rearrange that a little bit. That's going to need a little bit of help. And I guess while we're here, I can do that. This is the tough part, is soldering to these tiny little pins. Yeah, that unsoldered itself, huh? This is where the other iron tip might actually come in handy. If I'm around, I'll check you out. Might be busy tomorrow. My Wednesdays tend to fill up with other people's stuff. They know that they can bug me on Wednesday. Let's call Bother and ruin his whole day. Moving furniture, other stuff. Yeah, build your CNC. Let's check out Build Your CNC. Very cool. To see other creators stumbling upon my stupid content. Yeah, the main one is don't solder too high of a temperature, and you'll be in good hands. Or terrible hands. I mean, you know, you'd be in very awful, terrible hands. Okay, so let's actually do the other trace. We can get that soldered up. That'll get us significant progress. I could go diagonally. Yeah, maybe I'll go diagonally on this one. Seems like a pretty safe thing to do, right? Oh my God! Listen, I don't know if you guys have ever dealt with something that delays your perception of where your hand is, other than Michael Vsauce. Because if you have like a delay in where your hand is going, it completely disrupts the control system that your body uses in order to give you like move your muscles around and make them work properly. I had a hypoglycemic event. Hypo meaning low sugar. I had a very low sugar event one time at a festival where I actually did pass out, and I saw a bunch of the kinetic vehicles in what looked like a field of reeds with their fires going. My brain did not have a lot of fuel, and it hallucinated. But anyway, so I saw this vision, and then I woke up sort of in a heap in front of my tent. My glucose level had crashed severely after swimming around in a pool. And so in order to get back up and going, they got me, you know, a ride to the medical tent. And they recommended that in spite of my high glucose, or what was it? It was something like my glucose level was high, but I was, no, that was dehydration. That was a different event. No, this one I just had to get my glucose level up. So they gave me Gatorade, and I started drinking that in order to get that glucose level up. And as it was going up, I had like the systems of my body came up bit by bit. And so my ability to control the position of my hand was such that I tried to put my hand in front of my face like this, and it would overshoot. And I was tickled pink about the whole thing. They thought I was on drugs. They thought I had been doing some pretty heady drugs because I was giggling at the fact that when I moved my hand into a position, I would overshoot the spot where my hand was supposed to go. I'm feeling like that right now with this delay, this camera delay on the iron. You can see that there's not a lot of frames, and the camera's like jittering and stumbling over itself. What are you building? What we're making is a module testing module for module module. It's a modular synthesizer module, what allows me to test other modules. Module testing module. This needs to be shorter. Yeah, moduleception. It's a module in a module that modulates the modular modulation in order to modulate a module into testing a module. God damn it. It's so weird seeing my tools like this, which is something that you can say when you're sexting as well as working on electronics under a microscope. Yeah, I've been slowly going insane during this whole process, but what I'm doing is I'm trying to put together these op-amp circuits. This is on the primary circuit board of the front panel. This is the one that takes all the ins and outs and the buttons and stuff and relays it down to the other circuit boards. And so in order to save space, I'm putting this circuit, this op-amp circuit, on this board. And I decided, after originally authoring it in Through-Hole, to make it surface mount. And I am typically adept at doing this. I'm very skilled in placing these kinds of things and making them work. I'm having a bit of trouble because my camera did an oopsie poopsie and my whole streaming setup crashed. And in doing so, I then had to figure out, well, I had to get it all back up and running, and I haven't had time to properly calibrate these Logitech cameras. This camera is typically a very quick frame rate indeed. It does 60 FPS at 1080p, and that allows me to see where I'm putting stuff. Right now, it's got this mad streaking going on. And so these little trails, these little optical trails that would typically make your glow stick waving look really cool, make it very difficult for me to position my own freaking hands in order to neatly put together the circuit. The solder that I use is rosin core, and so that brings with it a little bit of flux. That's what all that liquidy stuff you see staining everything is. There's Corgi barking at the front door. Yeah, rosin core solder gives me that flux that I would need. And I'm not adding external flux. I am simply putting solder on stuff, and that brings with it its rosin. Let's just anchor this down before I continue. There'll be an LED, or sorry, resistor right here, and then the power comes in up here. I guess power's gonna have to come in from up there. And then our signal comes in at this bottom pin. This camera's glitchy because it's on multiple extensions. Multiple extensions bring this thing all the way to the back of the rack mount that the streaming computer is housed in. And every time you add an extension, you had all kinds of weird signal issues. So this is at the very maximum that you could extend something like this. I'm going to solder more of these pins just so it stays in place. Just so as you stay in place and such. Yep. When you solder the wire like this, it transfers the heat to the next piece. So it's easy for me to apply heat to this end and then have this actually become liquid over here, and then that disturbs the wire that springs back into place and kind of ruins the soldering that I've done, all the positioning that I've done on the wire. It is very frustrating if you do not harness it properly. One product that I have never found and that I've been looking for is some type of Captain tape, but it doesn't have to be Captain tape. What I need is for the glue on the tape that they use in Captain tape to be on some other thing. I need that glue to be on copper circuit board. Should I do like a 45-degree? No, that's not going to save me any space. I need to go all the way up and out. This is just taking up a lot of space. The other way that I could do it is by jumping over it on the lower layer, but I would need to use a jacketed wire, and the jacketed wire is very annoying because when you apply heat to it, it's meant for wire wrapping, which does not involve applying heat. So when I use that wire in order to make a jump from part to part on the circuit board, it will melt. And when it melts, it creates a mess. I don't like that mess. My iron turned itself off. The iron seems to think like a cigarette. I am sitting there with the iron in bed, soldering. So it thinks that I've fallen asleep, and then it turns off the iron so that I don't burn down the house. So that I need to hit a button on the front of the iron in order to keep it going. So we're coming in from over here, and I don't want this to be too far up. Let's use the tweezers then. Oh, and I need to tin the end of this to make it a little bit easier on myself to get to that pin. Just do this with Mark 1 eyeballs, not the microscope. The other way I could do it is by pushing it down onto the vise. But the vise sucks away a lot of the heat. You can see there that I just did it. Oh God, this looks so bad. I know you guys don't think it looks bad, but it looks real bad. It looks like a 90s music video with the frame rate being all weird. You know, they intentionally mess up their shot in order to make it look cool. Used to do that a lot. Lower this thing down. Oh, it's all kinds of messed up. These tweezers are not good at grabbing wire. They're great at positioning parts, though. Yeah, I guess I'll come in from here with the signal wire. So this one will go to this pad right here. Just kind of bend it with my pin tool. The pin tool is actually a gauge. It's not what you think it would be. You'd think it would be called like a right angle pin tool, or like a grabby thingy, gribbly grabby hand. But instead, it is actually a gauge. It's for gauging holes, but it's really good at being just my hook hand. That way I can control things a little bit more easily. Let's see, this one goes to ground with a, you see, this one has to go to two places. If I put the resistor here, this is ground. I can get ground right here to a resistor, and then we can jump ground down that way and hit up this sort of ground superhighway. Pin 4 is VCC minus, so this one also has to be ground. And I could run pin in like this down like that, this up and over. So if I go 45 degrees here and I go across, it is going to get very close to the signal, but I can run a resistor right between these two pads and get my ground right here. So this can go boop, boop, and hit up this first button with a ground pin. So I guess I'm going to do that. I guess I'm going to do a big old 45 degrees on this thing. What do we got? 428. It is 428. On the mark. Mark. Oh my God, my dog is having a little freakout session at the door there. This is too close. I need to bring it out a little bit. Right there is looking good. Oh my God, my hands. So this is what happens with diabetes, is when you have a big swing in your glucose level, your muscles start to cramp up. There's a lactic acid buildup from the swing of glucose level. And you guys saw earlier, for some crazy reason, my glucose level shot up to the stratosphere For no reason other than that, I switched the G6 glucose sensor. I recalibrated it, and for some reason now the glucose level went super duper high during the morning period when I was giving the dog a walk and stuff. And so the glucose level was super high. I gave a lot of insulin, and now it's crashing back down to normal levels. And so in doing so, there's a buildup of lactic acid in the muscles that I happen to need in order to properly grip very small things. And so my hands are currently attempting to become claws, and I have to stretch them every now and then to keep them from doing that. They want to just become a solid claw. Oh my God. This dog will not stop barking. Willow's freaking out about something. Typically, I would yell, which she probably interprets as us barking. And so the dog probably thinks that when she's barking at stuff, we then bark at the stuff, and then she calms down. It's not a good way to regulate barking. Let's just leave it at that. She's probably like, they're barking too. Why do I get in trouble for it? But if I go there and calmly tell her to stop barking, she will stop. And she will ham it up because she knows she's not supposed to. So by hamming it up, I mean what she does is she'll drop her ears back in order to make her head look as round as possible. And she'll do the big round eyes, the big puppy dog eyes. Because she knows she's not supposed to bark at stuff so adamantly. She will get her OUT or walkies when I'm done streaming. I'll take her on a little walk before stream and then after stream. So she's got a couple hours that she has to stand, possibly just being, you know, like having a nap time. Because that's what she does. She sleeps. But no. Now it's time to freak the hell out and bark at everything. It's actually going to be tough to work the resistor in there. Maybe I'll put the resistor right here, and then I can just put this and do like a weird angle to get to it. You can really go crazy making this look artistic. It's a little bit sloppy. It's a little bit sloppy. A little bit of cleanup work would make this look like immaculate, but we're dealing with stuff that's small enough that it's kind of difficult to work with. So I would rather do this a little bit sloppy than sit here and sweat it out. So let's put our resistor in there. We can just work that resistor in. The prospect of finishing this stream went out the window as soon as my freaking computer's crashed. I'm going to put a 10 kilo ohm resistor in here. I am of a mind that you should not maximize the current through your LEDs. There's a lot of, like in the 90s when we started to get, the early 2000s when we started to get blue LED prevalence in just about every electronic system. Unfortunately, with that came the fact that you look at the data sheet, you figure out what the maximum current through your diode is, and then you size a resistor to that, depending on whatever voltage you're putting through. And that's just all you do. That's what you do. You just do that, and then you move on with your life. Well, the problem is what that does is that makes it so that when I'm done building my computer in my bedroom as a teenager, and I leave it on overnight to download a bunch of stuff, that blue light illuminates the entire bedroom. Those blue lights are very powerful. The blue LED is a lot of current, a lot of capability, of a lot of lumens coming out of the front of it, right? It's kind of ridiculous. So as a product designer, one of your jobs is to put your product in a dimly lit room and look at it when it's on, and realize that you're going a little bit ham with those LEDs, and maybe you should pull back just a little bit. Give it a little breathing room. There should be a scrap of wire sitting around here somewhere. No, did I brush them away? I brushed them away, just like all of the relationships in my life. I brushed them away. I didn't even realize what I had, which was a little piece of wire that I cut off from the board. Where is one of those? Is that one, or is it a dog hair? This might be a little piece of wire. I think I can use this one. So ground is going to come in from there, and this isn't long enough of a piece of wire. I'll use the stuff off the reel. I'm running out of this wire because I use it so much. Oh wow! Finally, I can get cheap viewers. Ay, ay, ay. What is it? Oh, because we only have 37 on Twitch. Wow. Yeah, that's we lost a lot of momentum on Twitch. I haven't looked at what YouTube's doing lately. I mean, I've been reading your chats, but 17 viewers on YouTube. That is amazing. Dude, that's unprecedented. I'm actually quite excited about that. It's hard to get your footing on this kind of stuff, right? I had to put blue tack over all the LEDs in my room. They're so annoying. Yeah, I mean, one of the things like we did as device designers, not in the IED jobs that I had, but the co-op job that I had in college, which was at a company that makes musical stuff. That's Aviom, AVIOM. They make like a mixer that you can put mono channels into, and you can have tons of channels running around in your setup. Very cool. Everybody gets their own individual mixer. All the mixers have consistent delay, so you can time, your playing and all of your mixing to what you're looking for, right? So it's quite a high amount. Yeah, for YouTube, I was getting 1 viewer for quite a long time. So like at that job, one of the things we did, because we were plugging in a lot of cables and stuff, we had almost finished hardware. One of the important steps is to take your device, put the front panel on it, put it in a dark room, and sit there and look at it. And what you're doing is you're looking at the brightnesses of the LEDs, because the LEDs are going to have different brightnesses. This is especially true if you make something like headgear that has RGB LEDs on it. Those RGB, what your brain sees versus what you numerically have going into the LEDs in terms of pulse width modulation, it's different. They're not linear to one another, right? There's a whole table of values that you can actually apply to your LEDs that will scale them based on how the rods and cones and a typical eyeball sees those different colors. We see red a lot better than we see we see green and red really strongly. So you can cater that, especially if you're using RGB LEDs. If you're just making a device that has like blue LEDs on the front panel, sit in a dark room with it and go, my retina, they're falling off. Maybe I should put a slightly larger resistor on that thing. It's an important step. Or alter the PWM a little bit. Or, that looks weird when I alter the PWM that way. It ends up being, you can see the dots when you like shake your eyes a little bit. So maybe I need to do that with a resistor. I need to do that physically and limit it that way. It's an important step. Yeah, and then seeing it during the day and during the night. Indeed. Yes. Nodders. Okay, so, getting back to soldering. Much progress has been had. Do we want to do the ground wire? I guess I can start that off. I can kick that one off. Shove a wire down my wire hole. Yeah. So that should be enough. That should be more than enough wire to get to that pin. And now I can just bend down. Oh no, I removed it. I coughed it out of my wire hole. Wire in the wire hole. It goes in the square hole. Put a little bend in that. Actually, that's pretty good. Electronics and ideas. How you doing? Do you stream? It sounds like a streaming account. Do you bleed? Can you get EMC problems from PWM and LEDs? Oh, yes. Problems, maybe no, but you can get it from that, yes. It is a pretty prevalent thing. With the LEDs, the 24-volt LEDs that I have illuminating my desk, my workshop desk, they create a lot of noise, a lot of electrical noise that you can see on the oscilloscope. And I had to put some heavy filtering stuff in there, which is actually, that's a VOD that I put up on the VOD channel, where I added a big filter in one of the pillars of the desk in order to eliminate some of that noise. I started an electronics channel. Hell yeah, brother. I love people flying in and having channels and stuff. We're getting it more and more because we actually have like a good amount of viewers for YouTube. I guess YouTube algorithmically was like, this guy streams like kind of often. And that's good because that means I have more of a leg to stand on when I go to Fusion 360 and I go, hey guys, I'm in your creator program. Can I get like a software key so you don't eliminate all of my parts and stuff that I put into Fusion 360? Maybe I just like once a month I do like a little recording, which we're gonna do. We're gonna end up having a series that'll be like the court mandated monthly Fusion 360 stream by O'Bother. We're gonna have that because I think that's too funny to pass up. I think that's kind of too funny for me not to do. Hi, my name is O'Bother, and I lose my Fusion key if I don't do a stream a month where I do Fusion 360. So today we're going to, I think that would be a really funny stream. Actually, what I should do is I should get one of those fake hands and put like a gun in it and have it pointed at my head from the corner of the screen and just have the hand that's holding the gun to my head. I'll be like, yes, this is Fusion 360. Here's some basics on how to operate it. There we go. That's kind of a little separatey over there. I don't like that. Let's try to just like bend it into place so it doesn't look too... That's terrible. Whatever, it's fine. I'm 14 years old and I'm trying to learn electronics. Ah, cool. When I was your age, 1,000 fucking years ago. God, how long has it been? I'm not going to calculate that. What a horrible calculation to do. When I was 14, 13, I got my hands on Forrest Mims' electronics books. And that sort of put things into simple terms, and it allowed me to kind of get a little bit more dangerous with the electronics. The problem with all of the old books, though, because this was in the 90s that I got a hold of these books, and those things were outdated when I got a hold of them. The problem with a lot of those older electronics texts is what they'll do is they will immediately tell you, they'll go, hey kid, are you interested in electronics? And you're like, yeah, I mean, I see people doing, there's like, people do cool stuff with electronics. I would be interested in learning something about electronics. They go, okay, cool. Here is a 1 to 10 transformer. Oh, a transformer, like in a power supply, like a transformer you put in a power supply? Yeah, it's a transformer. See the big wires coming off of it? Yeah, the big wires, yeah. Stick them into the wall. Stick them right into the wall. Plug that transformer into the wall, into the power socket. And you're like, wait, I'm pretty sure that... No, do it. Plug it into the wall. Listen to it hum. And you're like, why did you... This is so dangerous. Like, anyone that survives gets to put a diode on the other end, and you have a 12-volt power supply. But it's like, don't do that. Don't listen to those stupid fucking manuals from, like, the 1970s, where they want you to, like, immediately plug something into 120 volts. No, that's not what... No. The amount of growth that you can have in the electronics, like fandom, and the electronics hobby, like, digital stuff, 5 volts. Everything's 5 volts, everything's 3 volts. You get a bunch of sensors, you get a microcontroller, you plug all that stuff into one another. Ooh, look, the LED blinks. And then all the people who believe that the 555 is anything but a completely obsolete fucking dinosaur in this hobby, don't let them convince you that you need a 555 to do goddamn anything. 555s, they fucking suck. They're completely obsolete. We don't need to deal with those anymore. Those are little math assholes, those chips, and they want you to do math, and they want you to figure out, oh, what capacitor do I have? What resistor do I have? Ooh, I got to worry about resistor tolerances. No, put your foot down. A 555 is obsolete. You can get a simple microcontroller to blink an LED at a rate, and then you could expand that from there. The 555 is stuck. All it does is blink. But the microcontroller can do so much more. You can have the microcontroller sense from a sensor. You can have it respond to external stuff. You can have it do timing things. You can have it change the PWM. You can do all kinds of stuff. So with respect to growth, there's a lot of obsolete things, a lot of obsolete like traps that you can fall into. Older books will tell you to do things that are dangerous. Nowadays, in terms of learning electronics in the hobby, holy crap. It is a limitless well of projects and interesting things. And basically, if you start off with a project in mind, you can get to the conclusion and you can grow. Every project that is worth doing should scare you a little bit. It should scare you in the sense that that is going to be where you grow. and expand into larger things. So, you know, like you can get a basic Arduino kit, you can read the book, you can follow the labs and do this stuff. Cool. How can I apply this to something that's going to benefit me in some way? Oh, I can do this. I can improve this. I can build that. That's how I kind of go through this stuff. And I think it's something that everybody should learn how to do. What is something that doesn't quite do what I want it to do? How do I get it to do what I want it to do? It's good stuff. Yeah, and there's always the Indian guy tutorials. Back in my day in college in the early 2000s, the Indian guy tutorials were actually just TAs trying to teach us stuff through measurably thick accents. It was very difficult to figure out what was going on. Luckily, they were speaking the language of math, but they were speaking it a lot faster than I could write it down. 8 o'clock in the morning TA sessions might as well have been, recitations rather, might as well have been fully in another language because I was not awake enough to realize what the hell was going on. Collect your own vintage parts from VCR, radios, organs, etc. Yeah, there's all kinds of cool stuff that you could do depending on what you're interested in. I didn't want to get into any specifics on that. We get a lot of people coming into this channel and asking for advice. And if you noticed, I gave a date, I gave a time frame, an era of when I learned about this stuff, and it was when I was a teenager, but that was in the 90s. I'm so old. I'm so old. But yeah, that was when I was a teenager in the 90s. The technology is totally different now. I'm just trying to reconcile with the fact that the stuff that I'm doing right now is going to be obsolete very soon. It's not going to, this is not state of the art what I'm doing right now, which is just insane to me. That's just insane. This stuff here is obsolete because you can get a circuit board. Where am I? Wow, I'm in the wrong thing. Sorry, like I'm just hitting random buttons on the Stream Deck and hopefully it looks cool. You can just like design a circuit board in CAD and get them for $5. What I'm doing right now is, I mean, yeah, it might be fast for some stuff because this is sort of the temporary permanent prototyping that we're doing right now. Now, keep in mind, a lot of the skills that I'm applying to this are useful when building PCBs, because in the process of building a PCB, you get that first PCB in, you build it, it doesn't work. Your job is to get it to work now, and you have to find all of the mistakes in the thing you built. When we built the VCO, the synthesizer module, there are 4 mistakes on this board, and I had to correct them all physically in order to get this thing working. Of course, now we don't know how to tune it. That's where this thing comes in handy. But still. What's up, Gabong? That's Flatulent Gonad, if you guys don't know. I've already said hi to him. A link to Bothers Me channel on Twitch. Thank you. Yeah, we haven't set up a lot of the automated stuff in YouTube yet, and good God, the amount of viewers is incredible. I don't have that many viewers on Twitch. No, I do actually have that many viewers on Twitch, but still, you know, hey. I'm going to be back on Thursday, so you guys will be able to get more of this soldering action on Thursday. We'll hopefully get LEDs running, considering maybe, you know, the universe will be kind enough to me by then that we'll actually be able to get some of this stuff down onto, you know, boards, down onto the board and maybe hit it with 12 volts and see it working. Let's get the other resistor in there. That resistor's coming out my wazoo. God, there's just dog hair everywhere, isn't there? So, like, advice for people beginning electronics. We get asked a lot about that. It's very difficult for me to give advice on how to start off with the... Whoa! Okay, because of my glucose level situation, my thumb decided to get real shaky. And you guys can't see it because of the streaking. But I tried to grip, ever so delicately grip this resistor, and my thumb decided to go and like shake it. I do like the disco resisto. Yeah, I wish I had better advice. But there is, that's where it went. Wait, that was 102. That was a 1K. Well, it's good that it's gone. SMD is fun to see, but I don't use it a lot. I love my surface mount. Surface mount is so much cleaner and easier for me to do. It doesn't take up a ton of space. The values of the resistors are written directly on the resistor. I can't oversell that. Having the value right there. It's incredible. And doing this method of wire wrap wire while it is taking me a while, you can see that I am practice at it, but it is just my bread and butter. You know, this is how I build prototypes, is by doing it this way. Yeah, being able to see the values, being able to read numbers on the things. 103 is 10 with 3 zeros behind it. So I know 3 is a K, so it's 10K. Done, done, done. Somebody tried to be like, well, bother, actually, you can just, here's the equation. And I'm like, why would I do an equation when I just think of it as 10 with 3 zeros instead of 10 times? No. We're not involving math. Math, this is an anathema. Mathema is anathema. Manathema. Math, manamana. Manamana. Do 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 do. Manamana. Do 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 do. Ah. Do 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 Oh god, the vice is crushing my RC car. Get out of here, RC car, you're in danger. The Muppet Show is like all of the reasons why I'm doing showbiz. Father, why do you do this? Why do you put yourself out there in public? And it's like, oh, well, there's a show called The Muppet Show. He said the box set of DVDs in 780p. Were those 780? I think so. You're making my day. Look, man, the finding people that are at all like me has been the weirdest part about doing this stuff. I am a consummate weirdo who would constantly get made fun of for it in high school. But it turns out those people are boring as shit. And all the interesting people on the internet, anyway, are the weirdos like me. And it's strange to find such commonality in personality. But you know what? Like what you like. Nobody can take that away from you. They certainly try. They certainly try. Weirdness and otherness has been kind of a plague for people that like weird and other stuff, and it discourages the uniqueness that should be celebrated. I think I can get that to work, right? I gotta cut it a little bit longer, but my hands are getting a little shaky around here, and I gotta kind of compensate for it. That's gonna be way too long. Loved watching the show when I was a kid. My mom would let me stay up past 8 o'clock to watch the Muppets. Man, you know, I wish any of the subsequent Muppet Show stuff had caught a little bit of traction, but I guess, I don't know. Is the magic of Henson gone? I know his son took up the mantle and was doing really well with it all. Farscape is a little bit much, though. I watch a little bit of Farscape, goes a long way. I know people have nothing but high praise for the show, but it's like the show is constantly like in your face, in your face, in your face, in your face, and you're like, stop it. Just slow down a little bit. It's a bit much. You know, I'll start a marathon and then I'll just be like, enough, jeez. I think most of it is that everything is just nasty. Like the people are nasty and the puppets are really like nasty and realistic and nasty. Everything in the show is just nasty. And you're like, ugh. Like, I love it. I do love it. It's a great show, but I need to shower after that episode. I love Farscape as a kid. It has some interesting concepts. Yeah, it has some cool stuff going on for it. For sure, for sure. Ooh, the shaky hands is not helping me with these resistors. You know, there's like a jitteriness behind the muscles that I'm moving. And I typically have extremely steady hands. That's one thing that I got in the genetic lottery. I also got diabetes, but I have great hair. I don't know if it was worth it. This whole genetic lottery thing is not really working out. But one thing that I have is extremely steady hands, and you know, muscle mass helps steady things. If you get stronger, you will have steadier hands. But in my case, right now, I am lacking glucose in my blood, and it's causing me to get a little bit jittery. So while I do have the fine motor control, when I touch off, when I try to float the soldering iron, I am shaking. You can see that right there, right? So people with shaky hands, you can still do this kind of work. You just need to know how to position your hands. That's why we have hand cam. And what maybe you guys aren't able to see right now, and I'll show it in just a sec. Let me just get solder to flow to the top of this chip. I'll force the issue. What I'm doing here with my hands in order to stabilize myself is I'm using the vise. So that pinky finger is stabilizing my arm, and so this is down to finger movements. And as long as I can stabilize closer and closer, I can get that iron into where I need it to go, and then just sort of Jesus Christ. Okay, hold on. That's my index finger tried to roll backwards. Sorry, my ring finger tried to roll backwards on my hand. That'll happen too with the diabetes. You start getting cramps. I identified too much with these guys. Who's these guys? The Tinkering EE. I get to blame you if this is something awful. Oh, the Muppet Family Christmas. Oh, Statler and Waldorf, yes. How many cameras do you have set up right now? One, 2, 3, 4, 12, 99, 11, L, 6, 42.5. It's like 5 cameras. And they all need their own USB card because they don't get along when you have them all hooked up to the same machine. Logitech never thought that a user of their cameras would want more than one. So what they did is they very generously programmed their cameras to hog a whole lot of bandwidth and then get all weird when you have multiple of the same type of camera plugged in. So in order to counter for that, streamers like myself who do a lot of cameras have to have a lot of USB PCIe cards. It is an unfortunate thing. Now they've updated the drivers. The Windows 10 drivers are a little bit more advanced than they used to be, so it might not do that as much anymore. But I've had to buy multiple USB cards, and I've got backups in case any of them fail. None of them have failed yet, though. And then I run them on USB-C cables. NDI is a system that I could really benefit from, having all of the cameras kind of be their own machine and have like an Ethernet connection. That could be very useful to me, but I haven't figured that out yet. You streamer. I guess so. I guess I have to come to terms with that. You know, why do you gotta label me like that? Why do I have to be a label? You gotta label me. You have to have a really good network for that. I mean, our internet network is pretty nice. I got a new router. It might be okay. I'm not shaming. Quit streamer shaming me. Haha, everybody look at the streamer. Stop it, you guys. Oh god, this is a very difficult maneuver for me to do. Usually this would be very easy to do, but my hands are not as dexterous as they were. So I'm trying to just cut off the excess from that wire. Your local network needs to be set up really well because it takes a lot of bandwidth. I think because everything in my shop is its own intranet. I have my own little intranet, and people are like, oh my God, Bother, I can't believe you would show this on camera. You're going to get hacked. And I'm like, no, there's a lot of stuff in place that will keep you from getting hacked. Like the Wi-Fi SSID name, they were like, you can locate people with the SSID. I'm like, yeah, it goes to like the middle of Ohio when I searched that name, which was a common joke of a network name. So it's very common, and it's it's not public facing. It's not on any registries or anything like that, right? It's just something that I set up with its own unique name. And then my neighborhood is not war drivable, and it's not Google Mapsable. So good luck. And so, yeah, so I've got a couple things in place to kind of protect this area. What's going on here? Hold on. But this intranet is on an Asus router. I think it would probably have a pretty decent ability. It's a relatively modern Asus router that I've put in place. These look so sloppy. I hate how sloppy they look. Maybe when I get rid of the flux, it'll look good again. We didn't even do anything with this one yet. There's still a delay unless you see if there's a delay, I cannot abide by a delay, because if let's say, for instance, this camera was remote and it was on NDI, if there was a delay here, I would have a lot of trouble positioning the soldering iron. Yeah, it just looks very sloppy. Slap happy, sloppy. Slop happy. Ew. Wait, it's not going to this pin, it's going to this pin, because this is power. Gotta be careful, gotta remember. You guys missed a lot of very interesting stuff that we did with the M303, like, for instance, identifying chips by their pinouts. It's something that I used to be good at my previous jobs, the ones that I can't really talk about. Identifying what a chip is from a pinout. And we were struggling with one, and then a viewer comes in with the exact type of chip. And I'm like, how the hell did you know that? And they were like, well, I've been doing some synthesizer stuff, and I just happen to be using that chip for stuff. I'm like, geez. But the Acid Labs tried to keep their secrets. They tried to keep their secrets from us. They didn't know that we were a wizard. But we were able to figure out what those sanded chips were by the pinouts and by leftover markings. If that latency is an important issue for you, then you're better off using direct connections. Well, maybe for some cameras, and then I can deal with delays on others. That may be the way to go. I was hoping eventually to do NDI just because it would get remote cameras into the main setup better. That's a little bit, I cut that too close. Is a lot of this wire sticking up? Might be. No, we don't have a ton. There's a little bit of overlap there. I guess I can use that. That should be okay. Yeah, I guess some cameras could get a delay and others not. Because, like, Burn the Subs can have a delay. That could have a significant delay. All I need to do is point that in sort of a general direction of where the name is burning. Yeah, I never considered that. I still have to do an NDI test with the Raspberry Pi 5 that I have. That's sitting in a box, so I haven't gotten around to that. I have too much stuff to test out. Anybody want to intern for Oh Bother? I promise you there might be food every now and then. There certainly won't be money, though. I don't have that. Just have an overabundance of overreach projects that I need to step into and figure out. How do you switch cameras? They're all feeding into OBS. I've got all these cameras on the computer. They're all USB cameras, and then OBS has scenes for each camera. And so to switch scenes, I have a Stream Deck, and the Stream Deck is capable of telling OBS that I want to switch scenes. Now, I could have Node Red switch scenes too, but for right now, it's just Stream Deck has a bunch of tiles on it, and those allow me to switch between the scenes, or I use the mouse, and I select the scene in OBS. So all of those cameras are set up as these, what's that? As these guys right here, these scenes here, and I can just click on one and flip to it, and so that's how I do it otherwise. You get paid. Yeah, that's right. You get to love bomb the corgi. Uh, she is very cute. All right, so this one goes over to there, and then it goes right angle, and it goes up to here, and we'll just cut that right there. Yeah, it's a typical streaming setup. It's just how you do stuff. Game streaming is a little bit more simple. You don't need to have quite as many cameras, but for doing project stuff and IRL stuff like this, you need multiple USB cards, multiple cameras, multiple OBS scenes. That will get you there. It does its job pretty well. There isn't much room for expansion at the moment. You know, I would love to have like Willow Cam. When she used to hang out under my desk, I wanted to have a separate camera specifically for her that would be like one of those partial like night vision cameras, so it could have the infrared stuff. Yeah, the FLIR system's cool. It's part of the OctoJ, my moderator back in the day, was sick of watching me burn myself on camera. I would poke the electronics to see if the electrons were mad, and if the electronics gods were mad, they would burn me ritualistically. But he was sick of watching that. I guess it was something about the ritual he didn't like. So we worked out how to do thermal imaging, and now when I poke the electronics and burn myself, we can take a look at the heat on my skin. But like when you work with electronics the way that I do, and you're building a lot of custom stuff, and you're powering it up for the first time, all of your mistakes will be laid bare in the heat. And so if I have something out here that I'm testing with leads, you guys can see, and chat has often told me ahead of time, that the leads are heating up. Yeah, praise be to the gods of the electron, trying to cram it through too little wire. Too much electron, too little wire. The only Twitch clip of mine that's gone viral, people don't really generally share my clips. If you guys ever see something exciting, feel free to try to share my clips. No guarantees, you'll probably end up not getting that popular of a post. But there was one that did go viral, and it was where I had a capacitor explode. You know, eventually, doing this stuff, you're gonna have a capacitor explode on you. Capacitors hold a lot of energy. If you have a capacitor the size of a shotgun shell, you have the energy of a shotgun shell. You've got to be careful with that stuff. It'll hurt you. But anyway, so I had a capacitor explode on me. It was a little one. It was a little 35-volt capacitor that I was giving 52 volts because we were testing a motor and seeing what the motor was capable of. And so I hit that shit with 52 volts. The motor's fine, the controller's fine, but the capacitor, you can see in the background, the capacitor's heating up and heating up and heating up and heating up, and then it just goes, psh, and I go, whack! It's the worst reaction. It was such a bad reaction. But that got 70,000 views. Hell yeah. Only time I've gone viral. It'd be neat to go viral again. Not a requirement. Did that one disconnected? We'll have to come back to it. So let's tweak that one up a little bit. Hey, we got a sub. Snozy, yay. With a prime. Thank you for the prime. I think that's the only sub we've gotten today. Tantalum. I've had tantalum ones go before too because I tried to use them in some of these modules, and the tantalums are like 5 volts, not 12. I was like, oh no. Oh, I blew that up one. That one blew up pretty good. But they weren't as dramatic. They've changed the materials. We used to be able to blow up LEDs all the time too, and they changed up the epoxy that they use. So now they don't pop. They just kind of fizzle. They're popping when they should be locking. It's horrible. Doot, 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 doot. kind of temporarily get that to, maybe it'll bite in. Nope. Come on. I think you'd get a little bit. Yeah, I think I did. What do you make it? This is a module testing module. Right now, we're putting in the op amps that will drive LEDs on the front panel. The front panel we have designed in CAD, and it has 6 inputs that are configurable to be ins or outs. So no matter how I have them configured, I want an indicator of what's going on that channel. It does not need to be digitally driven. So I'm going to drive it analogically with op amps and resistors and LEDs. So what'll happen is, no matter what's going on that channel, if we're inputting or outputting, the LED will indicate whether the signal is high or low, or if there's nothing. That is what I am building. I hope you enjoy it. Molten lava is the only way I can describe it. A tantalum blowing up in your face. The last tantalums that I blew did the little pinhole thing. They just had just a little pinhole on them. They didn't blow up as would be tradition, as we like them to. But no, we can't have nice things like capacitors that fucking explode. Sorry if I curse. I curse. Unapologetically. I will not allow advertisers to come in and put the moral police on everything we do. It's such a, it just fucking, it pisses me off so much that we would make progress into being able to, I probably should have done this one at a 45-degree angle. That's what I've been doing with these. See, all of these have these beautiful little 45-degree angles in them. I didn't do one there either. I mean, I might have to correct that later. But anyway, like it's, you know, it's advertisers coming in and saying, oh, you shouldn't curse there. It's like, yeah, no, I absolutely should, because this is the internet. You know, you used to be able to curse on YouTube without getting demonetized. Why does that feel like I'm getting electrocuted? It's just poking into my finger. There's just a little prick, and it made it feel like electricity was. Sometimes you get these insidious things where like the soldering iron will ground you on like an AC circuit, and so you start to feel like, ooh, that's a little bit of a sharp feeling that I'm getting off of that, and it's actually electricity flowing through your body. But that's not the case here. We're not hooked up to anything. I don't know, power supplies going. Why is this so hard? What's going on? Yeah, you know, we're on Twitch. We curse. That's just the way of things, and it makes you unfriendly to advertisement. I just hope we can find our way around that, because we were correcting all of that stupid moral policing behavior. I have subbed. Where did you sub? On, is that a YouTube thing? Because I don't know what that is. I guess I don't have alerts set up for that. I need to set up alerts for that. There should be like fanfare. There should be a whole hullabaloo going on. Let me check the YouTube landing page and just see what's going on, because I haven't set anything up to, like, you know, do the casino thing and make that neuron, the gambling neuron, fire off. A lot of Amazon stuff is just trying to hit up on that neuron that you have that sort of sparkles when you win something. It's another way that they psychologically manipulate people into doing things on stream. The way that I do it, in the future anyway, is to give you guys some incentive to subscribe. And that would be burn the subs. Now, YouTube subscribe is a different term. And on Twitch, when you subscribe, you pay $4.99-ish to give the creator money. By creator, I mean me. I am the creator. I am your god. But no. You know, you give the creator money directly, which is what I love about Twitch. Unfortunately, they allowed the admin in, and the admin brought with them commercials. And unfortunately, the commercials have such a large budget that nobody can say no to them. And so we've still got too many ads on the platform, for my liking. I like the public television facet of Twitch, where it's like people are out here just doing their thing, And as you can see, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm out here doing my niche thing. And if there's enough niche behind my niche, maybe people will want to throw me some of their niche. And I'll get a lot of niche as a result. Niche weak. Arms sweaty. Pocket full of linguine. Yeah. I have to buy. Oh, goodbye. So yeah, is we mean subscribing on what's this thing say? Likes 14, concurrent viewers 12. That's a good number. Privacy, public, category, crap, title, shit. That's pretty cool, man. I got about 4 minutes per person watching my stream. What are these stats they're giving me, man? I appreciate you guys stopping by. Nah, you don't gotta throw me nothing. You're good, you're good. You guys are all good. I hate your paw. That's a good follow. Prime, Snowy Za, it was Prime, and then what did we get before that? Hold on, I gotta filter this. Filters. Get follows off of there. I don't want to see follows. Oh, I got a follow in the meantime. Boink. There we go. Yeah, Cilia Gigantified. Veet Nukem was... Veet Nukem, I bought some 805 SMD. This says 4 hours ago. I missed the Veet Nukem. I'm so sorry I missed this. I bought 805 SMD resistor. Here, I'm going to go to face cam real quick. You guys can see me craning my neck to view this third screen that I installed. I bought some 805 SMD resistors, but I think I'll have to go larger. The first resistor took a nosedive into the perf board hole. The 0805 is the size that we're using right now, so that shouldn't be able to happen. That was 4 hours ago. Veet Nukem, I'm so sorry I didn't read your comment. You guys can feel free to, like, if I forget to read your comment, let me know, and I'll address that as soon as I can. I feel bad that I missed that. Oh, and Gonad gave me a shout out 3 days ago. I missed that. Yeah, the first resistor took a nosedive into the board hole. I rescued it with tweezers and bridged it between two holes, but it's ridiculous. Do you use 1206? I use 0805. I don't know what board you're getting then, because these are plated through 0.1 inch spaced holes, and these are 0805. I wonder if you got 0805 or not, because like that'll barely fit into the holes. That's 0805. Well, next time I see you, Veet Nukem, I'll mention that, because you may not still be watching. People come and go. It's like a revolving door. But it seems like you should be able to get away with that just fine. Yeah, these traces are kind of sloppy like this. I don't think I like it very much. If I reversed this, which I'm not going to do, but if I reversed it, that would mean pin 1. That would actually be worse. So this is the best configuration for it. It just seems a little sloppy to me. Yeah, you may have been sent, like, I don't think 0603 might fall in. 0402 definitely will fall in. 0201. Maybe you bought in metric, and because when I say 0805, I'm talking about the English size designation, which is a mil measurement of the width and length. And mil is a measurement of inch. It's like 1,000th of an inch, I think. What do you have on the pad so the pins don't short? That little orange stuff is what's called Kapton tape. Kapton. It's a product, and it's a high temperature, very low residue tape. They use it in things like the moon probe, the moon lander thingy, on their wiring harnesses, actually. But Kapton is a very light, non-conductive substance that can withstand the tape. The glues they have on the tape can withstand soldering temperatures. What I really want to find is copper tape. Yeah, it's space tape. Tape for space. What I want to find is a copper tape that has the adhesive that Kapton has. But all these copper tapes want to have conductive adhesive so that they can say that they're, you know, like a conductive tape that you can put on like an enclosure and stuff like that, but that conductive tape has very bad temperature stability. And I'm looking for a copper tape that I could tape down to a PCB and manipulate into being traces. But I can't find it. I can't seem to find it. And I know you guys are going to want to suggest this and that and the other thing, but everything I've been suggested has been not the right thing. It's not what I'm looking for. All the suggestions have been crap. So don't think that I haven't looked. If you can Google it in 5 seconds, I know what you're talking about. They used it on the James Webb Space Telescope and coated it with silicon. See, I was just talking about when I saw those all the moon pictures. All the moon pictures. There's that Philly accent coming through. All that moon stuff that I've been seeing. You can look at the wiring harnesses on like the arm that has the camera on the end of it, and you can see everything's just wrapped in Captain tape. It's pretty cool. They used it on the sun shield. My sun shield. Maybe the adhesive is proprietary. I mean, look, if it's a 3M product, then please, Mr. DuPont, or whoever the fuck is in charge of 3M, some fat cat that none of us can even approach. How dare you speak to me? Listen, just the copper stuff. Run it through the adhesive stuff, please. It's like the holy grail of circuit board repair stuff, and it doesn't seem to exist. I don't know. Like, if it existed, it would be so common. You could just fix a trace by cutting a new trace. And I mean, I guess there's that trace repair stuff that somebody else is talking about. Maybe that's what it is. Polyamide. Look, it's easier to say Captain. It's like Band-Aid. Banded. My Captain Band-Aids. Oh, Captain, my Captain. I think my stuff is just generic polyamide. I think that's what I've been using. But yeah, it's just a little piece of polyamide that I cut very sloppily. I've had motor control issues today. Usually I don't have motor control issues. It seems like a cry for help on my part. But usually my hands are super stupid steady. They've just been kind of rattling around today. So my cuts are pretty bad. Who the hell is that? Is that? Oh, it's Animal. It's Aminal. Boop, and then boop has to go down, out, and over. So this is a 45 degree here. At least on the really tiny stuff like resistors and capacitors. Oh, I missed the whole front. Most places, DigiKey, Mauser, etc., and the like to list both freedom and science units. Yeah, they've got slightly different numbers on them. So like if you're ordering 0805, that's not going to be a metric 0805. That will definitely be an English 0805. It's just if you order something kind of similar in number, it could be the metric. But there should be a distinction between the numbers. Yeah. That's good for like, is it Unruly? Who's the one that does drums? One of the Djibouti show people. One of the friendos of Djibouti show. Or Seth Drums. I think it's Seth Drums. I think it's like drums are in the name. Circuit. Are we building? What kind of circuit? It's an op-amp circuit that is for running an LED off of modular synthesizer voltages. These LEDs are on the front panel of my modular synthesizer testing module and will allow me to test other modular synthesizer modules. But in doing so, I need to know what my I/O is doing. I need to know that my ins and outs are my ins and outs. So what I need is for LEDs on the front panel, and then if I'm outputting or inputting, it doesn't matter. It will display what's going on. I can't move this anymore. What happened? Why is this not cooperating at all? What's going on? Did I solder it a little bit? What the fuck? Okay, fine. I'll just leave it like that. It's really sloppy, but I'll leave it like that. Why didn't it move? Why have you forsaken me? Oh, this isn't connecting to ground at that pin. That connects to -12. I got to remember that. That's a very important detail. This is -12. This one's +12. They don't touch ground. They only touch ground through this. So this getting wired up to here is a no-go. Did I do it all the way up here? I did indeed. That is a mistake. But I can just cut this, or I can remove it and bend it. Mistake. All right, let's get this out of the way. I'm not going to need as much wire, so let me just sever it right here. I'll do this before we end today. The wires have a mind of their own. Yeah, they do sometimes. They're all trying to spring back to their original position, but I'm holding them there with formerly liquid metal. It's pretty cool stuff. Mixture of silver and lead. FFS, I'm back. Would you have long meetings? I'm gonna need y'all to get together, and we're just gonna need to talk about stuff for a long time. To no avail. We need to circle back and maybe synergize on some of those actionable points. We need a fusion of disparate elements in order to actualize our core values in a client-forward landscape. I used to have whole conversations in business speak, and I wanted to die. It's talking without talking. You're speaking, but you're not saying anything. Nothing of merit, anyway. You can do a whole presentation without saying one thing, other than doing work is important to get work done. That's it. That's all you said. 45-minute presentation. Yeah, we're pivoting to AI. I need something to bend the end of that. So like this is allowed to be ground, but all the other ones are not, because we're actually plus and minus 12 volts. That's how this whole circuit works. It's kind of, it bends your mind a little bit when you start thinking about this stuff in potentials, but that's all it is. It's all electrical potentials. You have electrons and holes flowing around, and the electrons go from, well, they technically go from negative to positive, because Ben Franklin couldn't be bothered to actually label things correctly. But anywho, they go from minus to plus. You can think about them going from plus to minus. You will confuse yourself, but it's fine. Plus minus 12 is fun. You have a broken brain. Your brain is broken, and it should not work the way that it does. Plus minus 12 is incredibly confusing. But if you acclimate yourself to it, eventually you get it right. And yeah, it is fun to be able to just push and pull those kinds of voltages. What is okay, listen, wire. I just need you to shape up. You need to be right here. You need to lay flat. I need to know if there's any excess anywhere. It doesn't look like there is. I'm gonna start having Olma reply to my coworkers until it gets stuck, and then have it ping me. I don't know what's going on. I love teaching senior engineers how to use Git. Oh, dear God. Senior engineer? Shouldn't they know what... Well, they don't know how to share. They don't teach us that in engineering class. What is going on with this? That's looking a little weird. It's looking a little dumb with its finger in its thumb in the shape of an L. I can faff all day about AI will do. Yeah, AI can put together the business speak for all I care. That's a nice thing to have freed up. The only really like interesting and important AI thing that I've seen that really is showcasing what AI is capable of was that a pair of camera glasses for the blind that could then identify, the AI could identify what it's seeing. And it would be moderately private. You wouldn't have to involve a third party. There are apps, by the way, for blind people where they can hook you up with a real person and you can tell them what you see in front of you, because that's what this app does. It hooks you up with an operator, like a volunteer operator, a person who also got the app, and you say, what do you see in front of you? You go, it's a bookshelf, and there's, you know, this book and that book. But AI can do that, and it can sort of do that pretty easily. That's a very good use of AI. That is a very good use of it. Git is the most unfriendly tool ever designed. But the way people talk about it, you would think that it's your fault, that it's completely unintuitive how to get a file from somebody else's Git. And then Git versus GitHub. It's a hub for Gits. You guys are a bunch of Gits that use that program, or that use that system, is what I'm saying. And you lord it over people like me. Just because I'm good at circuits doesn't mean I know how to fucking do filed shit. You suck. Why are you guys so mean? I listen, you guys are talking to a streamer that learned Python live on the air on Twitch. Of all places to learn Python, to learn Parseltongue. I did it live on the air on Twitch. You guys all owe me a little bit of sanity. People were relatively nice. It was nice because they kind of function as an IDE that intelligently corrects you and knows how you're stubborn about stuff. Live CC is nice. It's not a good IDE, I'll tell you that much. It's pretty good at what it does, and that's kind of a problem because then you don't end up making mistakes that are relatable. Okay, yeah, so this one is -12. So what I need to do is basically run a wire up and over and then to there, and then I'll put it there, and then I can jump it over to all the other ones. But because we're on surface mount, not through hole, I could do things like sneak a wire in. Where did my pointer go? Where's my cursor? There it is. I could sneak a wire in like right here. I could have this go whoop and straight to there, and then to that one above it. Can I do that on the other ones? Yeah, so I could do that. I could do as the crow flies, power and ground, or power and -12. I can have it pop out of this one here and go whoop right over to there. I have that power. I don't want to see Git ever again in my life. That's a strong reaction. I shall adorn you with gold star on your forehead. I'm 100% that Mercurial is better, and I have sapling as a cover for Git. None of that was words. None of those were words. Did this one break? I think this one broke. Well, I'm at stopping time anyway. All of my tools blew up because we had a computer crash in the middle of stream. Where are the... Wow. I've got the lowest number of viewers that I've ever had on Twitch. That's amazing. I had like really good numbers last week. Is something wrong with Twitch? I think something might be wrong with Twitch, or it just doesn't like that I started at the stream again. That must be it. It just seems like ripping up circuits for building them better, faster, dumber. Module testing module continues. That's my title. If it's the same title as last week, does that hit differently? Or somebody popular is doing something popular and people aren't watching? Why would it fall so low? I think it's from the restart. I think the restart just killed. So, Twitch is what's wrong with Twitch. I don't mind Twitch. It's just we have the same number of viewers on both platforms. Weird. Okay, anyway, I'm getting out of here. We're done with stream for the day. We did a little bit of circuit work. We put it back into sort of what I'm comfortable with, and I guess I'll just continue working with it this way. You know, adding op amps directly to the board surface. That makes things a little smaller. As a result, I have to be a little bit more dexterous. My glucose level is not allowing that to happen. It should be normal now. Let's just check in with it real quick. Let me just check. Yeah, there's good numbers on YouTube today. I'm shocked. Okay, so we've normalized. I'm in the normal range. I'm supposed to be between 80 and 180, and my glucose level shot way up to hell by rump roast. I made rump roast already. That was very good. It became chips and gravy. I turned the rump roast into little chips of meat and just threw them back into the mushroom gravy that I made. It was excellent. But yeah, anyway, we had a lot of people on YouTube. We have a lot of people on Twitch. Twitch is the one that has the commands, unfortunately. So if you want to join the Discord, you at least need to open up the Twitch landing page. That will have a link on it to the Discord, and you can click that. You don't have to watch Twitch. You can close the window after that. But most of my automated stuff, like the Nightbot stuff, is on Twitch. We'll eventually move it. We'll try to move it over, and so that you guys on YouTube can get some comments and stuff as it grows, because it seems to be growing a little bit, and my niche content finds more audience on. I should find more audience on YouTube. There's more content like that out there that's popular. So yeah, good to see you guys here. I'm happy that you guys have found the stream. Those of you on Twitch, you're doing fine. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you as well. My dog is going absolutely psycho right now, so I'm gonna go see what's going on with that, and I will catch you guys on Thursday. We're gonna be back Thursday. I'm gonna be working on this. If I can find a little bit of time on Wednesday, I will try to get ahead a little bit so that we can actually test something and have LEDs light up. I thought I would get there today. Computer crashed. It threw a wrench in the whole works. So I will catch you guys later. Until then, never forget that you should always, and then I switch scenes, and it's a joke because you guys never hear what I was about to say because there wasn't anything that I was going to say. There's no advice that I would give like that. And the cutoff has already happened, and you guys will never see. Oh no, I forgot to hit the button.